Hello, my name is Gray.
And my name is Crystal.
And this is Vast Asian Beauties, a supernatural commentary podcast where I, someone who has seen this show several times,
And I, someone who only knows the show through social media, discuss every single episode of Supernatural from start to finish. Also, we are both Asian.
both Asian. For today's episode, we will be discussing Season 2, Episode 10, Hunted, written by Rael Tucker, directed by Rachel Talalay. I think there's like an elephant in the room, which is that
Congrats on starting tea!
Yeah, I've
The
literally
fastest
started this
ever.
rest. My voice dropped literally after one injection, you guys. No, I literally... Okay, I think this entire episode needs like a preface, which is that Crystal is running on 30 minutes of sleep.
Hell yeah, dude.
Hell yeah, dude. I went to a party. I was there for 12 hours.
Oh my god.
and I was like screaming the entire time for some reason. And thus, now I sound like this. Also, like, maybe 2 hours ago, I was pissed drunk. And, also, during the party, like, this girl gave me her number.
Oh!
So, when I went home, I was like, okay, time to watch Supernatural. And the entire time, she was texting me. So, like, I did not watch this episode. But, like, the whole time, I was literally just sitting here, sipping my bottle of water, trying to make my voice not sound so... so, whatever the fuck my voice sounds like right now. And also texting someone. So, it's like this matter of watching an episode, but none of your focus is going to it. My notes, just to inform you, I bullet point my notes, and I have a total of 4 bullet points. So this is either gonna be the best, most unscripted episode of Babpod, or this is going to be the absolutely worst, most unscripted episode of Babpod. I hope that everyone listening is prepared for whatever journey we are about to go through.
Yup.
Literally.
Oh god.
You may be asking, why don't you just record at a different time? And the answer is, I am worried that I will lose my voice tomorrow. Like, I will wake up and my voice will be gone. So we have to record it tonight.
Yeah,
So-
and I'm gonna be on a plane tomorrow, so it's gonna be a while before we have the time. So this is the best case scenario.
Literally. So, before going in, Crystal, what do you know about this episode?
All I know about this episode is that Dean tells Sam what John told him before he died. I had no idea that anything else was gonna happen.
The thing is, like, I thought that was gonna be at the end of the episode. But, like, it's literally, like, it picks up where it left off, and it's at the very beginning. It happens in the first, maybe 6 minutes of the episode. And then literally after that, I just stopped paying attention. I was like, the reveal happened, and now the show is over. Like, literally, Supernatural has ended right in front of our eyes.
Yeah, it sure did.
Yeah. Oh my god.
So we start.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for guiding me into my lines of the podcast.
Yeah.
So we start in a psychiatrist's office. And this guy, who looks exactly like Graham Coxon. Do you know who this
Who
guy
is
is?
that?
Like, do you know Graham Coxon?
Wait, this guy looks like Chandler from Friends or something, right? Or no, does he look like Ross from Friends? He looks like one of the white men on Friends.
He looks like, look up, I promise, like, look up Graham Coxon right now, and you will not be disappointed.
Greyhound Coxton? Like Greyhound?
No, Graham. Like Graham
Gray.
Cracker.
Oh, Graham. Okay. Yeah, no, he does look exactly like that guy, yeah.
I was like, should I look at IMDb to know if this is Graham Coxon? Like, in what universe is Mr. Graham Coxon himself doing a cameo on Supernatural? And I feel like the universe is, like, non-existent. But, alas, we'll never know.
Yeah.
Unless
Yeah.
we look at the end of this episode's IMDb, I guess.
Oh, I
Anyway,
actually did go on the IMDb, but I closed my eyes and did the, like, end of page thing when it loaded so I
Yeah.
could scroll up to the actors to see if this was some guy from Friends. But I forgot the
it's
name
not.
of the guy, so I actually can't answer your question. And it's not a guy from Friends.
Amazing. Anyway, so he's talking to this guy who, like, for some reason my mind was just, okay, like I said, there are 4 bullet points in my
Yes.
in my notes. The 2 bullet points are, the therapist looks like Graham Coxon. And then the other bullet point is, the guy he's talking to looks like Joaquin Phoenix. Like, I'm literally having, like, connect the dots going on in my brain right now. It literally looks like Joaquin Phoenix, right?
I don't know what Joaquin Phoenix looks like. He played the Joker, right? The Joker has
He
like
played the
stuff on his
Joker.
face.
No, I mean, he does. Sometimes he doesn't, but yeah.
I only saw the part where he was dancing on the stairs.
He has like the sunken eyes thing going for him. You know,
Oh, yeah.
eye bags. He
Yeah,
has the
no.
eyebrows.
He looks
so it's like,
emo
you
AF.
know, yeah, he has that kind of look. And this guy is talking to his therapist, Graham Coxon. And
Yeah.
then Mr. Graham is like asking, you know, tell me everything. Anything you say will be between us. And then the guy that we know, well, we don't know him. And then the guy, do you think I'm still drunk?
I don't know.
Okay, so the guy is like, well, a little over a year ago, I started getting migraines, and then I started being able to do stuff. Oh, also, like, just to say, like, throughout all this, there's a song playing
Yes,
throughout
and it
this entire
slaps.
scene.
It's a White
And it is
Rabbit by
amazing.
Jefferson Airplane, and I actually know
Yeah.
this song, so woo!
Oh my god!
First time
and
ever.
I don't. So we are reversing roles right now.
Yeah. Also, I think
Yeah.
this is the first time a woman sings on Supernatural.
Well, good for them, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, the guy, his name is Scott, apparently. Scott
Yeah.
clarifies that what happens is when he touches something, it gets electrocuted. For example, once he touched the neighbor's cat, and he said it fried up like a hamburger, and I was like sitting there sipping my water and being like, you don't fry hamburgers, what are you talking about? I was
Literally,
like,
you
I was
don't
also-
fry hamburgers.
I was
You
saying
grill
it in that
them
voice
on
as
the
well.
fucking
I was
grill.
like, you literally also, to continue prefacing this episode, my earphones broke in the middle of watching this episode, so I had to watch it like in the laptop audio. Like, I had to turn it all the way up. So I didn't understand any of the conversations. And also, like,
And there were no
you know
captions.
I know the player that I usually watch it in with captions didn't work, so I had to watch it without captions. I was having the time of my life watching this episode, for realsies. Anyway,
Oh, and to clarify, he doesn't just electrocute things automatically. He can choose to electrocute it. So, like, that cat didn't have to die.
No, I don't. Well, he said that, like, he didn't choose to electrocute the cat, right?
Well, he says
Or
when
no,
I
no,
touch
no.
something,
He
I
said
can
that
electrocute
he-
it if I want.
Okay. But,
So
like,
it's
he
not like
electrocuted the
Lily
cat
Death
because
Touch.
someone told him to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what he clarified. That, like, someone told him that you should electrify this cat. And that person has yellow eyes.
Yeah.
I'm so not used to my voice right now. I'm speaking in a DJ voice. Just to inform literally everyone, and also you.
Yeah.
Like, when I started this podcast and I received my mic, I was like, my goal in this podcast is to sound as smooth as Jeremy Greer's voice from Monster of the Week. And
Hi, Jeremy.
I never achieved it. Hi, Jeremy. And I never achieved it, but I think I have achieved it now with the what's the term? Timbre? With the timbre of my voice right now, I have achieved it.
Uh-huh.
In fact, my voice may be better than his. Sorry, Jeremy.
I guess the only way to compare is if you interview. Oh god, we're so off topic.
Oh my god.
Okay, so
Okay.
the thing that I love about Azazel telling Scott to kill a cat is that I can just imagine this demon going on YouTube watching videos about origin stories of serial killers and being like, if I want to make a demon army, I think I'm gonna start by forcing everyone to kill animals, because that seems to be how every serial killer gets their
Literally.
start.
Yeah, just torture an innocent animal, bury it in your yard. I think that's like the beginning story of everyone, honestly.
Yeah.
Every serial killer, not everyone. I do
Tell
not,
that
in
to
fact,
the
have
many cats that I have
buried
definitely
cats in my
killed.
yard. We do have a buried cat in our yard because, like, a kitten
Oh,
that we
yeah.
adopted,
Sorry.
like, from the street died, and we had to bury it in our yard. Anyway, like, in the middle of the conversation, like, the conversation cuts out right after, like, Scott says, like, he has plans for us, like, the yellow-eyed man has plans for us, and the therapist asks, like, what kind of plans? And it cuts to Scott, like, walking, he's walking in a street towards his car, and as he walks, he turns around and there's a man who stabs him, and he tries to reach out to the man with his hand and, like, potentially electrocute this man, but this man like stabs him upwards. What do you call that? He, like, slices through his stomach, I guess. And Scott dies.
Sorry,
And
Scott.
that's the end of our teaser. And it
Yeah.
has been, in fact, 14 minutes of conversation.
So, we go back to the lake where we left Sam and Dean. And we get a rehash of the conversation where Dean says, like, John told me something about you before he died. And he says that John told him to watch out for Sam, to take care of him. And Sam's like, he tells you that all the time. And Dean says, no, this time was different. He said that I had to save you. And Sam starts looking a bit worried about the situation and asks for clarification. And Dean says, he said that I had to save you, that nothing else mattered, and that if I couldn't, I'd... And Sam presses, and Dean says that I'd have to kill you.
I have to kill
He
you.
said that I might have to kill you, Sammy. And, like, his voice breaks a little on that part. And, I mean, like, obviously, Sam reacts. He's, like, doing this thing where he's clenching his jaw and seeming really upset. And, like, sorry that you're suffering so terribly, but, like, your neck looks so biteable right now, Sam.
I was gonna say that, like, during this scene, Sam delivered, well, I guess Jared delivered
No, Sam.
the worst acting I've ever seen in my life. He's like distressed, right? And he's turning around and he's clenching his jaw. And he looks fucking ridiculous. He looks so like...
I didn't see it as that bad. But, you know, I don't know. Like, I feel like we so rarely get to see Sam show strong emotion that every time he does, I'm just in, like, yes, go girl mode instead of analyzing anything else.
You know that one time, like, John turns around, like, mid-conversation, and I was like, oh, I used to do that trick, like, when I was acting in high school. Like, I would just turn around in, like, heavy conversations to show that I am in distress. Sam does it in this episode, and I was like, he's literally doing my move from high school. So, you know,
you're right.
Good actor, I guess.
So, Sam goes, kill me, what the hell is that supposed to mean? And Dean says he doesn't know. And Sam, like, goes, he must have had some reason for saying it, right? Like, did he know Hazel's plans for me? Am I supposed to go dark side? What else did he say? And then Sam asks how Dean could have not told him this. Dean says, like, 'cause John begged me not to. And Sam, getting quite angry, says, like, who cares? Take some responsibility for yourself, Dean. So true. And he says, you had no right to keep this from me. Which, you know, is the result of the John Winchester special where he shields one child and makes him betrayed and forces the other child into the life and makes him betrayed. And Dean's upset too. He says that he wishes to God that John never opened his mouth so he wouldn't have to walk around with this screaming in his head all day. So Sam's big on trying to figure out what's happening and what this means. And Dean's more on the side of we should lay low. He says, that way I can make sure. And Sam says, like his face turning kind of mocking, which I love. I love when Sam gets defensive. He goes, what, that I don't turn evil? That I don't turn into some kind of killer? And he says, geez, if you're not careful, you will have to waste me one day, Dean. Hot.
Again, you know, our tradition of not saying the word kill.
Right, because Dean said kill when he relayed what John said to him.
Yeah.
But
it was
Sam
too intense that they couldn't
Sam
repeat
can't
it
face
again.
that head on.
So he had to be wasted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like me, I guess. Sorry. I'm so sorry. I promise to be professional towards the rest of this recording.
Yeah, so, Dean starts freaking out. He's all scared. He's scared that Sam's immune to the Croatoan thing. He says, I don't even know what the hell anymore, which was such a badly written line. So funny.
Yeah. Literally, you know, I don't even know what the hell anymore. He literally does not know what the hell anymore.
Yeah, and he begs Sam to give him some time to think, and Sam reluctantly agrees. And I'm upset. I want to know what Sam's thinking during this scene a lot. Because, you know, we know that after John died, he felt very guilty for leaving things off the way that they were. And John died, like when John died, Sam thought that John loved him. So now there's like this. And he's noticed that Dean's been like super aggro these past few weeks. And now he knows it's because of this. And do you think Sam is scared of Dean at all in any way? Because I feel like Dean had a total clear shot to kill Sam during Croatoan and he didn't. So like that's probably not one of Sam's main concerns right now, right? Like
Okay, it's serious time. I don't think Sam is scared of Dean. Yeah. I think he's mad at Dean for not telling him.
Right.
Which is like you know, it's pretty explicit in the text, but specifically I think he's mad at Dean for not standing up for himself and for standing up for Sam. Because, like, he says the line, this line that I really liked. He said, take some responsibility for yourself, Dean.
Yeah, hot.
Yeah, which is like a banger line, by the way. I love it. That's like the first thing he says. Dean is like, I don't know what to tell you. And Sam's like, well, take some responsibility for yourself. You know, I think it's the same conversation as before about following orders, really.
Right.
Like, he's mad that, like, Dean is continuing that following orders thing. And now it's obviously killing Dean. And it's about to kill Sam if it comes true.
Yeah.
And it's like Dean is just accepting it as it is. I think that's what's angering Sam.
Yeah. And also, like, Sam spent all of Simon Said being terrified that he was gonna become a killer. And he probably would have liked to have this information to hate himself a bit more. As Sam enjoys to do. Yeah. Also, Sam's probably pissed that the fact that John told Dean this and he told Dean to keep it secret means that, like, at no point did John trust Sam to take responsibility for himself and try to prevent himself from going dark side. He just went to Sam's appointed handler and went, like, shoot him like a dog if he gets too mean. Like, that's gotta fuck with Sam's head.
Instead of staying, but we see Sam going out of a motel room, and he enters like a building, I guess, and basically what happens is he trips over a wire that sets off a grenade, and the grenade explodes. He dies, and I honestly like forgot that Ava was gonna be in this episode, so I thought like Sam was having a dream about himself, which is actually pretty fucking rad, you know.
Yeah.
But this is not what's happening. What's happening is there's like, you think this is gonna be Sam's dream or something, but it's actually the dream of this woman named Ava who like wakes up in the middle of her bed, you know, cuddling with her, later we figure out, her fiance. And oh my god, fiance, like that's the first time we ever used that word in the context of the actual show.
Yeah. It's the first time a fiance hasn't been an ex-fiance.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he's about to turn into an ex-fiance because, spoiler it, he does die at the end of the episode. So,
yeah,
you know, we never run out of ex-fiancés in this podcast.
Oh, I just want to mention also that before Sam goes into the building, he drives there by stealing a car in the parking lot, and he walks by the Impala and, like, considers it for a second, I think, and then he, like, breaks into a different car, and I think that was so nice of Sam. Like, he's the best brother ever.
Yeah, it's quite nice. Oh my god. I just realized that earlier, when Scott, our, you know, Joaquin Phoenix lookalike, died, that was literally like, what the fuck's his name? Gordon killing him.
Yeah.
I literally was like, he just dies. Like, some guy just kills him.
Like, for fun.
Yeah, for funsies, you know.
Yeah.
God, so it is Gordon. Yeah.
Right.
Man, I
theorized at first that it was a demon who killed him because he revealed the info about the yellow-eyed man to someone else. It was just Gordon.
So, you know, the man asked if she's okay, but Ava's like, it's fine. And we cut to the roadhouse. And the roadhouse is again buzzing. I think like the first episode we see with the roadhouse is like, you know, like, I don't know, like hunter. It was like a hunter holiday, and all the hunters are, you know, having Christmas dinner, Thanksgiving dinner or something.
Yeah.
And they're like not in the roadhouse, cause like the roadhouse is buzzing today as well. So that must have been an outlier, I guess.
Yeah.
But Sorry, Ellen. I'll keep on saying sorry to Ellen for disparaging her business at
Yeah.
every turn in that episode. But Sam walks in and, says hi to Ellen, who is very much not surprised to see him because apparently Dean has been calling, the entire United States of America on where Sam is. And Sam asks about Joe. Joe is also not around because she decided to go continue hunting. And Ellen said, "You're not gonna do that under my roof," so she went away.
Yeah, literally
And-
Sam-coded. So Sam-coded.
And Sam makes a comment about how he's probably the last person that Ellen wants to see because of that. But Ellen comforts him, saying that he'll never blame the boys for what happened with John and her Bill, her husband. And I forgave your daddy a long time ago for what happened to my Bill. I just don't think he ever forgave himself. I literally hate John so much. They would say shit like this, and I'm like, yeah, but he's a fucking loser, though. So, you should have probably not forgiven him. Do not forgive. Do not forget. Fuck this guy,
Yeah. Ellen's just a good person.
Yeah, Ellen is a better person, I feel like, than any of us. Yeah, but Sam tries to press on what exactly happened with, John and how Ellen's husband died. But Ellen deflects, and Sam says, "I need help." And, Ash shows up, and Sam dictates what he's trying to look for. Which is he's trying to look for other psychics. So Ash does his magic and ends up telling Sam that there are 4 people who fit that profile, which is Sam Winchester, Andrew Gallagher, which we met last time, Max Miller, which we also met last time, and Scott Carey. Sam asks for an address. Ash gives a cemetery plot. Sam figures out that Scott is dead, and they figure out how he died. And Sam goes to where he was killed, and Ellen tries to tell Sam that she's gotta have to call Dean. And Sam says, "Ellen, I'm trying to find answers about who I am, and my brother means well, but he can't protect that. He can't protect me from that." So Sam is on his own.
I'm trying to find answers about who I am is so queer of him.
Literally.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Sam. You'll realize one day, just like me, that you are literally just some guy. And it's okay.
Yeah. I am upset that Ellen tells Dean later, because I really thought that her agreeing not to tell Dean was gonna stick, and that she had learned something from No Exit and Joe leaving, which is you gotta let these kids go on their own and keep their secrets when they need them, and she forgives Dean for not telling her about Joe, especially because now Joe's being super badass, pulling up to tourist shops covered in blood and sending her mom a postcard because she still loves her, but nah, Ellen's still gonna snitch. Boo. So
I don't know. I think like you say, should have known from what happened in No Exit, but No Exit was a terrible episode for Ellen.
Yeah.
If anything, it reestablished, it really established her beliefs that these kids cannot be trusted or whatever the fuck.
yeah, but
So,
also
yeah.
Joe left and
But
is
I
sending
agree
postcards, and Ellen isn't going after her. So I guess I just assumed that she had a shift in parenting.
Yeah. Like you say all the time, she promised.
She literally
So-
promised. So we go to Scott's house where Sam's talking to his dad. Apparently Sam's saying that he went to high school with Scott. And Mr. Carey tells Sam that Scott changed a lot in the last year. He got headaches, he got depressed, he got paranoid, and he got nightmares. And he would lock himself up in his room. And Sam asks, "Do you think I could see his room?" And his dad's like, "Sure, that's a normal thing to ask."
If like I die and then someone is like to my parents, can I see Grace's room? I think I would like come back to life to stop this person from going into my room.
Right, and because
Literally-
all that Sam said is
No.
that he went to high school with Scott. He's not even like, he
Yeah.
was my best friend ever in high
He was
school.
a close friend. Like none
Like
of
he
that.
was, he sat like in front of me in science once. Is like the relationship that Sam has established.
Yeah.
I think the
I
only
think,
explanation.
honestly, that's all of Sam's relationships. Like he literally just sat in front of them in like his free law class, and he was like, "Oh, they were my actually we were like super close friends. Like one time they asked me like, oh, what do you think? What time again are we ending this lecture?" And he was like, "I think we're ending at 3 p.m." And he was like, "This is it, friendship of a lifetime."
Oh, I'm so sorry, Sam.
Yeah, I actually got really sad in the middle of making that joke.
Yeah.
Poor
Honestly,
Sammy.
the only explanation I can think of is that Mr. Carey thinks that Scott had a secret boyfriend in high school, and Sam shows up and asks to see his room, and like Mr. Carey's like connecting the dots and being like, "Yeah, okay. Like, I understand that this is a very sentimental thing for you, Scott's ex-boyfriend from high school. Like, go ahead." So
R.I.P.
Sam goes into the room, and he doesn't see much except some prescription pills prescribed by a Dr. George Waxler, and also this collage of a bunch of, like, yellow eyes cut out of photos all glued to the wall. Yeah, interior design, let's go.
It's actually a pretty dope collage.
Yeah.
I've never been like artistic visually. So like I like if I made a yellow eye collage, it will not look this good.
Yeah.
So I'm very impressed. Go Scott. He was suffering terribly while making this collage, but you know, it was
Yeah.
an artistic vision.
Yeah. I wonder who Azazel chooses to come to in dreams, right? Like, why Ansem and Scott and not Sam
Ava.
or
yeah.
Andy? Yeah, or Ava. Like, is he just going for the people he thinks are jerks first?
I mean like I
Scott
think,
seems fine, but like, Ansem sucked ass.
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe he's like, he has a, you know, yeah. My group mates, like whenever we assign tasks, we do the duck, like the duck race website. Do you know that one?
Oh, no.
Like you put your there's this website where you put like your names on ducks, and then the ducks race.
Uh-huh.
And whoever like finishes first in the duck race, like that's the person who gets assigned whatever. Like for us, because we're assigning tasks, that's the person who gets assigned the task. That's literally what that's literally what Azazel is doing. I feel like
Yeah.
he's like assigning tasks through duck race.
I think he's like taking actual
He's using
ducks.
hellhounds.
Oh, yes.
He's using
Yes.
hellhounds.
No, you're right. You're
He's
right. And it's
like,
like a dog
you know.
fight to the death instead of a race.
He's like Brownie versus Spotty. fight it out, my darling dogs. And they do. And
Yeah.
R.I.P. Spotty, you know?
Yeah.
Sam is walking towards his motel room, and we see some like interesting camera shots where it's obvious that they're trying to portray it as like he's being followed. I just tried to make my voice lower right then, and it failed immensely. But like, he's being followed, and he senses this obviously because he's Sam fucking Winchester, and he grabs the person who's following him. It's Ava. Well, he doesn't know that it's Ava, but you know, it's some girl. It's some woman, and you know, this woman tells him that he's in danger. Okay, in the motel room, Ava, who is very much obviously like very distressed, you know, very frantic, very upset, is saying that like what she's gonna say is about to sound crazy, but I'm not insane. I'm normal. And this is what I'm about to say is, you know, very normal and for realsies.
Yeah.
And she introduces herself, and she says that she's been having headaches and then nightmares. And then one time she had a nightmare where somebody died, and she was like, wow, what a terrible nightmare. And then she woke up, and a couple days later, the guy that she saw die actually died in real life.
Yeah.
So,
and it was Scott.
yeah, very much like Sam Winchester's dream. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The person that she saw was Scott.
Ava really got the worst power ever. Like, it's death visions and specifically only psychic kids dying. Like, that's so useless.
At least Sam got like, you know, some shit, other shit going on. He had, you know, telekinetic powers that one time.
Yeah.
He's thriving. You know, when it matters, when you need to get out of the closet. You know, she reveals that last night she had another dream, and it was about Sam, who also died. And she said it was like she found him through like some motel stationery. And Sam's like, at first he says, I don't believe this. And Ava misinterprets this, saying that, oh, you think I'm like a nut job. And Sam's like, no, no, no. You must be one of us. We are the psychics. And he says that he also has those visions, and that him and Ava may be connected. And Sam asks, like, did your mom die in a house fire? And she's like, no, she lives in, like, Palm Beach. So, Sam says, like, oh, you're one of the people who don't fit the pattern. And, yeah. That's the end of their conversation.
Yeah.
Bye, Ava.
So, we see Dean driving, and he gets a call from Ellen, who says she's heard from Sam, but he made me promise not to tell you where he is. And Dean goes like, please, please tell me, please. And Ellen says, Dean, they say you can't protect your loved ones forever. Well, I say screw that. What else is family for? He's in Lafayette, Indiana. Ellen, you promised. Oh, well.
Lafayette sounds like a town in, like, fucking Louisiana or something.
Yeah.
Like when I always said it was, like, Lafayette, Indiana, I was like, that sounds wrong. But, you know, well, who am I to know about American geography?
I think Lafayette is, like, a French name, so it makes sense that you would associate it with Louisiana. And it also is a city in Louisiana.
Oh, slay.
Yeah.
I am actually a geography major of American geography.
Yeah. So we go back to the motel, and Ava's begging Sam to leave before he gets blown up. And Sam's like, no, I can't, because there's something going on here. With us. We're all a part of something, and I've got to figure out what. And Ava goes like, okay, whatever, fuck this. Because I'm a secretary from Peoria and I'm not part of anything. And she says, do you see this? And shows off her engagement ring. And she says, I'm getting married in 8 weeks. Like, I'm a hashtag normal girl living my hashtag normal life in my hashtag beautiful house with my hashtag beautiful wife. But no, I came here to save your life. And if you want to stay here and die, like, whatever. Goodbye. But Sam holds her back by saying, like, don't you want to know why this is happening? Because if you leave right now, you'll never know the truth. And somehow that works on her. Would not work on me.
I literally do not give a fuck about, like, any truth about my life. Like, I mean, I do give a fuck about the truth. Like, just to be clear, especially because our country, like my country, has been ravaged by like historical revisionism in the past couple of years. So like, I do care about the truth, but like, I do not care about my own personal truth. You know, like, keep that shit to yourself. So, but this does work. So Ava ends up in this like doctor's office. You know, Dr. Graham Coxon. Mm-hmm. And she is talking to him. And she has never been to therapy before, I presume. Yeah. But you know, she's also nervous because Sam is outside sneaking around. And you know, the doctor was like, oh, what made you decide to seek out therapy? She's like, I don't know. And she's like, I'm feeling super anxious right now. And then she sees like Sam, like, what do you call this? He's like Spider-Manning on the side of the window. And she literally goes, oh, like I think she says like, holy crap, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's like, holy crap. And apparently his name is Dr. Waxler, turns around and like looks at the window, but Sam is gone because he is in fact, I don't know, a ninja. And Ava says like, I just remembered when I was a kid, I swallowed 8 things of Pop Rocks and then drank a whole can of Coke. You don't think that counts as a suicide attempt, do you? I actually love her. Like,
yeah, she's
I love
so
her.
funny.
She is so funny. But, you know, that funny scene does end. And Sam and Ava are back in the motel room. And Ava looks, you know, she looks petrified. And Sam asks, you know, you okay? And Ava is like, am I okay? And Sam's like, yeah. And Ava is like, I just helped you steal some dead guy's confidential psych files. I'm awesome! Again, I do love her. Like, she is very fun.
Yeah, I do love her too. I love how much she insists that she's hashtag normal, but then, like, she's, like, so clearly looking for some excitement and rule breaking in her life. And you'll get that soon at the end of season 2 when you, like, sob all over someone and then turn out to be, like, a stone cold killer. Like, very hot of you.
So, what they sneaked out was this tape recorder, right? Mm-hmm. Have you ever been tape recorded?
During
like in
therapy?
like
no.
a clinic in therapy? I know, right? Like, I don't think that happens. Like, your therapist takes notes, but like, I don't think they record your conversation. You know what? Like, the only time a conversation has been recorded in like my life is, of course, the podcast. Yeah. And also, one time I got accused of cheating, like in school, and they took me to the discipline office, and they sat me down and they like took my mom in, and they recorded the entire conversation.
Oh
and
my
they were
God.
like, "Did you cheat?" And it was truly terrifying. Like, I didn't cheat. Like, I probably cheated in other things, but I didn't cheat in this specific thing. And I was like, no, I did not. And like, the verdict was like, a person cheated on me. That's why we had the same answers. But like, I remember like that day I was so terrified because they don't tell you what the other party says, you know?
Right.
Like, because like the other party might be lying, so they're like trying to get you to also confess, I guess. I don't fucking know. But like, I remember sitting there and being so petrified that like afterwards my mom was like, okay, let's have lunch in the mall. And we went to the mall and we had Chowking, which is like a Chinese food branch in the Philippines. And for a long time after that, I couldn't eat at Chowking.
Oh,
Like, I was so petrified because it was genuinely like such a bad experience.
Yeah.
So yeah, do not let other people cheat on you unless you want to end up being recorded in a little room in the middle of your school.
Ugh, yeah.
Anyway, while all this is happening, they're listening to the record, and it's just repeating the stuff that was said at the introduction of the episode. In the middle of the tape being played, Dean pulls up outside of the motel, and he like sees Sam and Ava, and he's like, "Oh, Sam, you sneaky bastard," or something. "You sly dog." Dean.
Why?
And as the recording continues, we hear the therapist like asking more details about the yellow-eyed demon, and Scott saying that like he has plans for me. He says there's a war coming, that people like me, we're going to be the soldiers. Everything's about to change. And this is when Ava is like, "Oh, he's talking about us," and Sam's like, "Yeah, he is." And Ava is like confused and distressed, and she's like, "How could we even turn into soldiers?"
Like, literally,
And
like,
just
with our
then,
shitty-ass superpowers, like, what are we gonna do?
And then, suddenly, this beautiful blue rose window behind Sam. See, I was paying attention. Cracked. And then, like, it got shot with a bullet. And so they dive at the floor, and he shields Ava's body with his body. Which, like, I'm still bitter that he doesn't do this with
Sarah. Yeah.
Like, yeah, I know. Like, he's doing it now with Ava. He has done it with literally every single person in the past. Except Sarah, I guess. Like, Sarah is not special enough
You know
to be
all the
shielded by
really
his
funny
body.
posts about how whenever Sam's dating someone, he like is like, "I'm a feminist and I think you should make all your own choices," etc., etc. He was literally like, "Sarah, I'm a
He was
feminist,
literally like-
and if you want to be killed by a ghost, I'm not gonna infringe on that."
For real. Yeah, so they got shot at. This is the part where I think I received the text back, and I was like, okay. And also I think my earphones broke, and for a while I was like, okay, I'm just gonna watch the episode, but it never occurred to me to turn the volume up. So I was like basically watching the episode without any dialogue. So I like for like a solid 10 minutes after this, I just didn't know what was happening. So Crystal,
Alright,
take
so
the
I'll
fucking
cover
lead.
I'll cover the summary. So we cut,
Yeah.
and it's Gordon, on a roof
Yeah.
with a fucking sniper rifle. Gordon is like such an action hero this episode. Like, it's quite fun. So he's like shooting at this motel room, like in the middle of the day. Like, all right, King, whatever you're into. And we see Gordon aim his rifle, and like, I couldn't tell if it was Ava or Sam's head that was starting to peek up, but he was totally
I
gonna
think it was Ava.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it looked like Ava. And he was totally gonna get her in the forehead. But then Dean shows up and he starts beating him up. Like, he's just hitting him in the face a bunch. And it's
Yeah.
like, I don't know how fighting works, but is that how you disarm someone? Like, he seems a lot more focused on
idea.
punching him in
I
the
think
face than
he-
getting the sniper rifle away.
Doesn't he, like, say, like, that's
He
what you
says-
get for, like, trying to hurt Sam or something?
Yeah, he says, like, you do that to my brother, I'll kill you.
Yeah, so, like, I remember, like, he was just hitting him, and I was like, okay, that's too much. And then he was like, if you do this to Sam, and then I was like, okay, I get it. Like, he's like, he's like angry because of Sam, so that's why he's hitting this guy over and over again.
Yeah. Right. And Gordon tells him, like, Dean, wait. And then he grabs the rifle and slams the butt of it into Dean. And Dean gets knocked out. And Gordon stands over him with, like, this, like, string of blood coming out, like, off of his lips.
It was
like,
was distressing to watch.
Yeah, a bit, but also
Because it was like a straight line, like, out of his mouth. you know? It wasn't dripping, or it was like,
right.
caressing the side of his lip or something. It was like fully like a spit trail but of blood.
Yeah.
Truly fascinating.
Yeah, love that for him. Later, Ava and Sam are investigating the roof. I guess neither of them questioned why the shooting suddenly stopped. And Ava asks, like, why aren't we calling the cops? And Sam's like, that wouldn't do us much good. Which, okay, bold words from someone who later calls the cops this episode, Sam.
Yeah, I think this is like this line is in here because of that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really get why.
Yeah.
Like, okay, like, I guess we'll discuss it later, but like, I think what they're trying to establish here is like, that's not something we do as hunters. So when they eventually do it, it's like a bigger deal, you know?
Right.
Like that, I think that's what they were trying to gear up for with this line.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And Sam inspects the bullets and rattles off a bunch of stuff about it. Apparently they're subsonic rounds, so there was a suppressor on the rifle. And Ava goes, dude, who are you? And Sam, despite revealing that he's a psychic kid, just doesn't want to tell her that he's a hunter? So he just says, I just watch a lot of TJ Hooker, which I looked up, and it is a cop show that stars William Shatner.
I know. I literally googled it. And it was like William Shatner.
Yeah, Sastiel warrior.
Love to hate that guy.
Yeah, he sucks,
Love to
but
hate
he
that
is a
guy.
Sastiel warrior. So maybe that makes up for all of his terrible, terrible political opinion. No, it doesn't. Do you think Sam started watching TJ Hooker because of Star Trek?
I mean, I bet.
Yeah.
I know someone who listens to William Shatner's albums because of Star Trek. So like, more
William
like people
Shatner
have done
sings?
worse, I feel like. No, he does not. He speaks over music. Not like, how like when people are like, rap is like just speaking over music. Like, I think rap is music, by the way. But like, not like that at all. Like, he's not rapping over music. He's like doing an oration over it. Let's put an example here right now. No, I won't. I will not. But
I kind of want to hear it.
look it up. You want to listen to it right now? Let's listen to it later.
Yeah.
Let's listen to it later.
Yeah. And Sam pulls out his phone, and he starts calling Dean for help. Which is sweet. Like, yeah. It's cute. So Dean picks up, and he's tied to a chair in a cabin, which is, like, good. Like, I'm glad Gordon's getting him back on that. Like, I hope Gordon doesn't let him pee for 3 days, too, because, like, that was fucked up of Dean to do in Bloodlust. And Gordon's, like, holding the phone to his ear. And they're talking, and Dean's, like, pretending things are normal. He says, like, yeah, I know where you are. I talked to Ellen, just got here. he says it's a real funky town. And then Sam says that there's someone after him. And Dean's like, what? Who? And Sam asks where Dean is. And Dean gives him an address and tells Sam to meet him there as Gordon has dictated. And Sam says, sure. But later Sam tells Ava, like, oh, Dean's in trouble because he gave me a code word. He said Funky Town, and that means someone has a gun on him. Which
I was
think is
disappointed
so
in this scene.
fun. What? No, really?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. No, because I remember the code word being Poughkeepsie.
Oh.
So like
yeah.
when I was waiting for that word to drop, and I would have been like, that meme that's like, say it.
Yeah.
And then like the meme says it, and like the crowd goes wild. Like I was about to be that person, but alas, he says Funky Town instead. So
Yeah.
sad, truly disappointing. But what we can't always get what we want, as Mick Jagger once said. Mick Jagger of House M.D. fame.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Speaking of House M.D, like, shit, I forgot his name. The guy who plays House has, like, jazz albums, and for a while after watching House
they're
M.D,
good.
I, like, listened to them, like, all the time, and it was, like, really cringe of me.
I think they're nice.
I think
They're alright.
They're okay.
He's like an actually good pianist.
He's never
I feel
sung better than he did in the karaoke scene in House M.D, where him and Chase and Foreman are doing the little dance
going back to
thing.
Georgia.
Yeah. That was
is
so
it going back
fun.
to Georgia?
I don't
It's
know.
like, I think, Midnight Train to Georgia, I think.
Something like
that's
that.
the song. I was
Yeah.
obsessed with that song for a while.
Yeah.
That was a really cute scene.
Yeah,
Also, do
I
you
like
remember
when
the
they're
time
friends.
when
The musical episode where Cuddy's, like, having the clues when she's asleep, like, getting surgery?
No, the one where, like, I was going for a sweeter one. I don't know why you reminded me of the musical episode. This is ruining my day. I was going for the episode where, like, a house is trying to make Wilson choose furniture, and like Wilson is like, I don't know what furniture to choose, and at the end of the day, like, he chose the piano because he knows that because he knows that house will like it. You know? Very nice. I feel like we should pivot into a House MD podcast. I just feel like,
I don't want to watch House MD again. I can't watch House MD. It's so bad.
Yeah. I feel like if we watch House MD, we need to bring in a doctor. Like, I think that's the rule, right? Like, somebody needs to come in here with a medical degree.
Yeah.
And they need to speak on, the medical integrity of the show's behalf. And then we can speak about how much I had a crush on Chase when I was younger.
And we can talk about how badly I wanted to fuck 13, like, so badly. Well, why did I say that in past tense? Still do. Hello, Remy Hadley. Please come to my house.
Wait. She's played by Olivia Wilde, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Is Olivia Wilde dating Harry Styles?
Wait, no! Come back to me! What's happened? How could she? Like, currently?
I don't know. I don't know. Let's look it up. Wait.
Oh, yeah, she started dating him in January 2021.
Are they still together? Oh my god, they're going strong.
Another reason to hate Harry Styles.
Wait. Oh, I thought they were gonna get married, but they're just attending a wedding.
Okay. Well, I still have a shot.
So real. I mean, even if they get married, I feel like you still have a shot.
I plan to
You have no
home
qualms
wreck them.
about you have no qualms about home wrecking.
So we're back to the cabin where Gordon and Dean are in, and Dean says, like, I know you don't like us, but don't you think this is a little extreme? And he calls him Gordy because he's fucking annoying. And yeah, Gordon says that you think this is revenge. And Dean mentions the, like, tying him up on the ground for 3 days, and then he laughs about it.
Yeah.
He says it was awesome. Like, Dean, if you want him to not kill Sam, you're doing such a bad job.
This is like the part of the episode where like my eyes started unfocusing from the screen. Like I just wasn't able to like focus anything happening, like physically like focus my eyes. Because it was so boring. Like this entire conversation, I feel like it's like worth nothing. Like we already know this about Gordon, I feel like. That like I feel like we have already established enough in his last appearance that if he knew what Sam is, he would hate Sam's guts. And I guess this is like, I don't know, like the continuation of that.
Yeah. Well,
But because it was like so strongly established then, it's like now it's like, okay, do you have anything new to bring? You know,
you know what I think happened? I think after Sarah Gamble and Rael Tucker broke up, Rael Tucker refused to watch or read any of Sarah Gamble's episodes, so she only has like a really
she just
brief
repeated
summary.
everything.
Yeah.
Literally. She just listened to our podcast episode and she was like, okay, I'll base my writings from that one. Rail, if you're listening, if your name is Rail Tucker, we are in fact homewreckers.
Oh, what about the girl you were texting throughout Rael Tucker's episode? You'll wreck your own home too. Yeah, so Gordon says, like, this isn't revenge, this isn't personal. I'm not a killer, Dean. I'm a hunter. Great line for Supernatural. And he says, and your brother's fair game. Dun dun dun! So, we cut back to Sam and Ava, and Sam's ushering her to her car, telling her to get out of harm's way. He says harm's way doesn't really bother me, and like, I don't know, he takes off his cool guy sunglasses and does a little spin or whatever. And Ava says, like, well, no, this is bad, 'cause you're going to die, according to my vision. And Sam says, like, who give a fuck? I have to save Dean. Ava offers to help, but Sam, again's like, nope, just go back. Which, okay, Ava was, like, so set on being #normalcore earlier, and now she, like, really wants to be in on this hunt. So, like, I don't know, I like that about her. I like that she's terrible at being normal. Like, very Sam of her. Yeah, and she says, okay, just, like, call me when you get your brother so that I can know that you're okay. And Sam promises that he'll do that. Back to Gordon. He tells Dean that he was doing an exorcism, like of a demon who was in a teen girl. And that during the exorcism, he heard the demon say something about a war, and he tortured the demon until they talked. And Dean asks what happened to the girl who was being possessed, and Gordon says she didn't make it, like, not very regretfully, and Dean says, you're a son of a bitch. And, okay, two things, Dean. Do you remember Meg Masters from Andover, Massachusetts? Second thing, do you remember the teen boy, Jake, who you told Sam that he should have shot when you thought that it was a mass demon possession thing, and you know that, like, bullets wouldn't actually properly kill demons, just hurt the vessel? Like, do you remember those two things, Dean? I just want to bring that up for a second, Dean Winchester.
Okay. I just want to say, I have no idea what the fuck the second thing you were talking about is.
Oh, in Croatoan.
Who the fuck is Jake?
Was his name not Jake? The teen who was Dwayne's brother?
No idea what you're talking about.
Really?
Oh, the one who runs into the woods.
Yeah,
Okay.
Dean was, like, totally down to kill a teenager in that situation.
Yeah, and he thought he was possessed by a demon at the time.
Yeah, like, this is the same situation. And maybe he's just mad that Gordon doesn't seem to feel bad about it, but also Dean was not feeling bad about killing people during Croatoa, and so Dean, shut up. Yeah, so after Dean calls him a son of a bitch, Gordon slaps him and says, "That's my mama you're talking about. So true." I think this is the
Literally
first time
shut your
Dean
mouth,
gets any consequences for calling someone a bitch or a son of a bitch. And thank you, Gordon. It's not good that you're trying to kill Sam or whatever, but I like you right now.
I throughout this episode, I was so shallowly consuming it. That at any given point when someone is attacking someone, I'm like, kill him! Literally anyone. Gordon can be attacking Sam and I'm like, kill Sam! Kill Sam! And Sam could be attacking Gordon. I was like, kill Gordon! Kill Gordon! I was literally just staring at my screen yes. Murder. Yeah. And, I guess I had fun. So.
Yeah.
When Gordon hit Dean, I was like, hell yeah, dude. And I don't know. Does Dean do anything this episode? Aside from get tied up?
He also gets gagged.
Well, he gets gagged a little bit later, yeah. And he does a little wriggle in his seat. He wriggles like a worm.
Yeah. I mean, I'm really glad that Dean does literally nothing this episode. It's his turn.
Yeah. I was also actually really glad, and I guess because I also really like Ava, so it's I actually wish she was in more of the episode.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I wish he hadn't left. So, Gordon explains that there are soldiers in this upcoming human-demon war, and there are humans that are supposed to fight on Hell's side. He says they're psychics, so they're not exactly pure humans, but still, what kind of worthless scumbag have you got to be to turn against your own race? And they're very much it's very clear that they're painting Gordon as a fantasy eugenicist with the whole purity and the race talk, and it's weird. It's weird. Why is the only hunter of color that we've met the eugenicist? It's weird. Stop it, Ray L. Tucker, and stop it, Sarah Gamble.
I am on this transcript right now, and I'm reading this entire conversation, and I do not remember anything, and I am shocked by what I'm reading.
Yeah. It's so explicit what they're trying to do here, and it's bad. And then he says, and the demon said that I knew one of them. Our very own Sammy Winchester.
Sammy Winchester.
And Dean goes,
literally kill him, Sammy, for calling you Sammy.
And Dean goes, oh, you're being so stupid. Dean definitely believes this, though, right? He so believes it. How do you think Dean feels?
What do you mean? Believes what?
He believes that, it's true that there's a war coming up and that they're prepping Sam to fight on Hell's side.
I mean, probably.
How do you think he feels?
I think he believes more in Sam's inherent goodness.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, I think when he calls Gordon stupid for thinking that Sam will turn, dark side, as Sam puts it. I think he actually believes it, that it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Maybe because he also thinks that if it does happen, the responsibility of putting him down, God, what a terrible turn of phrase, is on me and not on you. So, why are you taking my responsibility? Type of scenario.
There is a scene in Bad Moon Rising where Dean sort of lets a guy who tries to kill Sam get killed, and his thought is I'm the one who gets to do this, not you. So yeah, love that. I feel
I mean, if you've ever had a sibling and someone has insulted your sibling, that's literally what it feels like. Though.
No, yeah, exactly.
No one can tell my sibling that she's an absolutely horrendous person except me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just the normal sibling instincts ramped up. And Gordon says, like, I'm not stupid. I know about Sam's vision. I know about everything. And Dean's like, well, no, that demon was super lying to you. And Gordon goes, like, no, I know for sure. You have your Roadhouse connections. I have mine. That's how I found where Sam was in the first place. Are we supposed to think that Ellen blabbed to him because Ellen told Dean where Sam was too?
Well, like, towards the end,
Yeah,
like
Dean
when
does
Dean was
accuse her
screaming
of
at,
it.
yeah, when screaming at Ellen,
Mm-hmm.
I again was like, where did he even? Why does he even think that Ellen, like, told told Gordon or
Yeah,
something? Because I did miss
since,
this part
like,
of the
Ellen
conversation.
doesn't like
But,
Gordon.
like, also, like, yeah, exactly. Like, Ellen explicitly, like, is the person who told them before that, like, don't hang out with Gordon that much. I don't think he's a good influence or
Yeah,
something.
he smokes pot and he says swear words, and sometimes he skips class. So, Gordon says that I found another one of these freaks here earlier. And he didn't kill anyone besides Mr. Tinkles, the cat. Oh, what a good cat name. But then he says, but, like, he was going to become a killer. Like, they're all going to be killers, and we have to take all of them out, including Sammy. He says that I know that you warned Sam beforehand about this. So he's going to scope out the place, and he's going to go through the back door and hit a tripwire, and he's going to blow up. And Dean's like, Sam's not gonna fall for a tripwire. And, like, we're like, oh, well, luckily, Sam totally would, except there's a vision, so he's safe. And then Gordon's like, well, I have a second one. And we go, aw, shit. And he says, sorry, I wish I didn't have to do this. I really do. But for what it's worth, it'll be quick.
So Gordon sets up the wires. Actually, like, the scene where, like, Gordon is setting up the wire, there's some really good shots of the wire. Dean is, like, trying to convince Gordon that Sam is, like, completely innocent. And he actually says that, like, Sam is the type of guy who feels bad about watching porn. So, yeah. Do you think that's true? Do you think Sam looks up women-friendly porn? Like,
yes.
When he's,
Yes,
like,
I think
he's
that he
hanging out.
specifically looks up female-directed porn. Yes, I do.
Yeah.
And I
Good for
think
him.
that, like, every time after he jerks off, he reads, like, a news article about the porn industry because he thinks it'll, like, balance it out.
He is a scholar of, feminist studies. And, Gordon is like, he's going to be a monster anyway. And Gordon basically pulls the, like, destiny card here. He's like, I don't know, but he will because it's his destiny. Does he actually say destiny? Oh yeah, he says it a bit later. He says, you can't see it yet, Dean, but it's his destiny. He actually compares Sam to Hitler.
Yeah.
He's like he compares killing Sam right now to the baby Hitler dilemma. It's like one of the stupidest things that, like, thought exercises in the fucking world.
Right. And I don't think he's, like, being written to be, like, the level of, like, stupid and unreasonable that, like, that line actually is. Like, Rael was like, this is a medium stupid thing to say. Like, no, it's a 100 stupid thing to say.
It is actually quite stupid. And then Gordon continues on saying that he's sympathetic because, that's that's Dean's brother. So, of course, Dean will be affected. I thought he was going to make a comparison here about his sister.
Yeah, me too.
But he does not. I guess, like, Rael actually did not watch the episode, so she couldn't make that comparison. Gordon, like, compares Dean to John. saying that if John was given the choice, he would kill Sam like in an instant. But Dean is not, quote, the man that he is, that John is. Which is like, yeah, cool.
Yeah. Do you think that's true?
Love it when the symbol of masculinity is killing your brother.
Do you think John would have taken Sam out?
Because, like, the way he put it towards Dean, right? On Dean's shoulder, it does feel kind of like if he was so scared about Sam going evil, just kill him and then die, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, putting it on Dean's shoulder is akin to, like, saying that there's still hope here.
Right.
So, I think he would be holding out hope for as long as possible.
Do you think John would have killed season 4, Sam?
I just don't think... Okay, like... I just don't think season 4 Sam is doing anything.
I don't think that he's doing anything wrong either, but John totally would.
But, like, the narrative and, like, John would think that he is doing something wrong. So...
It's
do
hard
you?
to know. I think if he'd seen Sam's eyes go black, like, when he's exercising Lilith, he would have shot.
Yeah. I think, if he saw how swole Sam got in season 4, he'll be like, damn, my child is so much bigger than me. He has to die. Like, he has defeated me in the height and width categories.
Yeah.
So now he must perish.
Yeah. No, but you're right that he gave the job to Dean, both because he thought it was possible that Dean could save him, and I think also because I feel like he was pretty sure that Dean... Do you think he thought that Dean probably wouldn't have killed Sam, even if it came down to it? Like, does he think Dean will follow his orders?
I think he sees Dean as a soldier, like, at the end of it, you know?
Right.
So, like, I think he thinks Dean would follow his orders.
Okay. Yeah. But I guess he probably thought, like, at least Dean will be less likely to kill Sam than me. So, like, he is still giving Sam, like, a little bit more leeway than if he'd, like, given the task differently. You know, if John had told Sam to kill Sam, like, John wouldn't have a problem anymore. Sorry, Sam.
Yeah, so true.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
Sam walks into the cabin, the barn, whatever it is. And it's like, I guess just like Ava's vision in a way. And when he enters the little building, he sees through like like there's like a slit of wood that's like open, and he sees Dean tied up, and he sees Gordon like holding a gun. So basically, when he gets in, he does this thing where he trips the tripwire, and then he trips the other tripwire, and they both explode, and Gordon thinks he's dead.
Yeah.
But
and
alas,
Dean does like a little scream
not.
around his gag. Not a little scream, a big scream around his gag. And it's fun. Like, yes, suffer.
Yeah, like I said, he was wriggling very much akin to a worm. Very fun to watch. Wriggle, you know. As Gordon, like, walks towards the grenade, like, somebody points a gun at his head. It's Sam! And Sam's like, drop the gun. And this is where Gordon says the line that, like, oh, don't walk barefoot, like, don't take your shoes off in this place, you're gonna get tetanus. I mean, every time tetanus is mentioned in Supernatural, I just, like, start spiraling. But, anyway, so, like, this is, like, implied that, like, Sam threw his shoes at the tripwire, right? Anyway, like, Sam still insists to put the rifle down, which Gordon does eventually do. And then Gordon starts taunting Sam about like how if you kill me, then it's like I'm gonna be proven right. But you shouldn't, because your brother here really thinks you're a fucking saint. And he keeps on doing this while he like disarms Sam, and then they're on the floor, and it's like at the very end of the fight scene, Sam is standing over Gordon, and then he like has the rifle in his hand, and the butt of the rifle, I don't know, he points the rifle at Gordon, and Gordon is like, show your brother the killer you really are, Sammy. So Sam turns around the rifle and butts the like butt of the rifle at Gordon's jaw, and this knocks Gordon out, and Sam goes,
It's Sam. Oh,
good for him.
I love when he does that. It's so stupid,
Yeah.
but I love it.
So like, you know, Sam unties Dean, and Dean like goes towards Gordon, but Sam's like, no, let's just leave. He's taken care of. Come on. And they go out.
Oh, well, Dean specifically says, I let him live once, I'm not making the same mistake twice. So, like, he was fully going to just shoot him dead on the ground.
Yeah. I guess so.
Show your brother the killer you really are, Deanie.
So, as Sam and Dean walk out, we think they're just walking out when suddenly, like, Gordon shows up and he's holding a gun and he's shooting.
He's holding two guns. He has
Sam
a
and
gun
Dean-
in each of his hands, which is, again,
really?
he's
Oh,
such
yeah.
an
'Cause
action
when he
hero
gets
this
cuffed-
episode.
yeah.
It's so fun.
Yeah. Because when he gets cuffed, he puts down two things. But yeah, Sam and Dean, like, duck into the woods as police cars come in. And they see Gordon. And they, you know, do the whole drop your weapons, you know, the whole thing. And Gordon sees them, and glares at them. But, you know, Sam and Dean are, okay, I don't know if I, like, misremember this or I saw it incorrectly, but, like, is Sam, like, actively, like, laughing at this scene?
I don't recall that. I think they just, like, I think he just is smiling.
Oh, okay. He looks joyful.
Yeah.
He looks the most joyful he has ever looked in this episode.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. Like, okay, I guess we discuss here, like, the concept of calling the cops on Gordon when it has been established that, like, calling the cops on a Hunter case is a faux pas.
Yeah.
Is that how you say that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, are we supposed to see this as, like, a bad thing that they do? Like,
no.
you're not acting according to the standards of how a hunter should act?
No, I think we're supposed to see it as a good thing. It's like look,
As like a
Sam's not
victory,
evil
yeah.
because he's going through the law and being a good
Oh
guy.
my god.
And, like, sure, this is better than shooting him dead on the ground like Dean wanted, but, like, I mean, calling the cops on a black man, bad idea, terrible idea, don't do it. And also, like, I mean, I feel like part of it is him just doing it because he wants Gordon to suffer longer, not because he's, like, actually caring that much about his, like, life.
It's just, like, the concept of this whole thing where it's like, you have to be kind to people who hurt you is, like, wild to me. Like, because, like, they treat this as a kindness is the thing.
Right.
Like, so, like, the two things that I had problems with is that they're treating this as a kindness, and also the mere idea that, like, you have to be kind to people who treat you poorly. Like, Gordon is actively trying to kill Sam. I think it would have been totally justified if Sam just fucking, like, shot him, like, when he was on the floor.
Yeah, I think
And,
the self-defense argument
like,
could be used.
Yeah. And so, like, I think the way this was framed was like, we're doing him, like, a kindness by doing this. And it's like, this is so stupid. Like, this is stupid on the two levels that I mentioned. So it's
really
like double stupid.
see it as a kindness because of like the really gross joke Dean makes later.
Oh, which one?
Oh, I guess we'll get to it. But the one about soap.
The what?
I guess I'll explain it once we get to the line.
Oh.
Ugh.
Okay. Oh, okay. So it's like it's a rape joke, is what you're saying? Oh, okay.
Like it seems like they're happy that Gordon's arrested because he's gonna suffer longer thing. Yeah, no, it's really bad.
So what is the point of this scene? Like, I think what you said earlier about like Sam being like a good boy because he's doing it the lawful way.
Yeah.
Is the point of this
Yeah.
scene.
Lol boy loser edition.
Yeah.
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 I guess no, I think it's like it's the good thing to do because he's doing it the lawful way and not killing Gordon, which would be like being evil. And it's also good because the lawful way means that Gordon will suffer terribly, which means that justice will be served. Like, I think that's what Rael Tucker is going for.
Yeah. Do you think, like, Dean will look at Sam differently if he did shoot Gordon?
Dean was ready to go in and shoot Gordon, like...
Exactly.
Right
then.
But,
like, there is a double standard when it comes to Sam.
Yeah. I don't think he would have looked at him differently. I guess, like, it might hurt his, like, Sam wouldn't hurt anyone ever, like, thing, but I think he would definitely justify it to himself.
I think Dean would be like, oh no, Sam is going dark side. But only because he's also an asshole. Like he thinks of himself so terribly that he's like, if Sam is in any way like me, he is also turning bad.
Yeah.
But I also think that that's maybe like giving Dean like so much benefit of the doubt. Like I don't think he's like that self-aware, but maybe he is. You know, we never know.
Who knows?
Who knows? Literally, who knows what the fuck they're trying to do in Supernatural at any given moment.
Yeah. Ugh. I think that, Sam would have been justified in killing Gordon and that Dean would have been fine about it. I do wish that we had gotten, like, a bit more, like... I guess I wish that they had made Gordon a little more complex and sympathetic than they do. Because it's all like, Gordon shows no remorse, but if Dean shows no remorse, it's because he's suffering terribly and he needs you to make out with him. But, like, with Gordon, it's just, like, just because he sucks. Because, like, he does suck. But, like, I wish we'd gotten a little... I wish that, like, you'd mentioned, like, that he brought up the thing with his sister. Because, like, he was, 18 and his sister got turned into a vampire. And, like, she probably was a killing people vampire. And, like, he had to kill her at, like, age 18 or 19 or whatever. Like, I get, like, spending the rest of your life trying to justify that to yourself by, like, being the worst little guy ever in the world. So, like, I don't know, it would have been nice to get a little bit of that, or, like, at least, like, understand the tragedy of his backstory. But nah, it's just, he sucks, and now terrible things are gonna happen to him in jail, and we'll laugh about it. Ugh.
Name one complex villain in Supernatural. I mean, Cass was a complex villain when he was a villain, but he was not a villain. He was just my guy.
Yeah, he was just like...
He was in fact the protagonist of Supernatural.
He was the protagonist, and he was so sexy for being God and killing motivational speakers for no reason.
Well, the reason was that they were horrible people, but like...
Oh, no.
I think it's a pretty good reason.
I think, like, specifically on the radio, he killed, like, motivational speakers and New Age people, which I think was not necessary. I think everyone else he killed, like,
Okay.
that was cool and hot of him.
Yeah. You know, I stand on a stage, I say, you should get up and involve yourself in the capitalist society. And Castiel is like, that's not true. Like, you shan't do that. And then he kills me. I think that's my ideal death.
Yeah. Yeah. It'd be nice. Because he would touch your forehead when he smites you. Maybe.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, I know,
he like
doesn't.
just says
But,
like
maybe
a
he
Bible
would
verse,
for me.
and then like you follow
maybe
the Bible
I'm special,
verse.
you know? Like...
Maybe you are. You deserve to be touched. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like a little forehead boop, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I will literally like he would kill me, and I would be like, I would hold off death to crawl towards him and like kiss his shoe. I feel like I would do that.
Yeah.
Like I would literally be writhing in pain, and I'll be like, can I give your tippy toes a little kissy kissy? And he'll be like, okay, sure.
Yeah. So...
Man, what the fuck are we talking about?
Where even are we? In the sense...
We're literally... Yeah.
Okay, so the cops come, and Sam explains that he called in an anonymous tip, and Dean says, "You're a fine, upstanding citizen, Sam." So yeah, that's what
Yeah.
Miss Raelle Tucker was trying to say.
Yeah. Anyway, like, Ellen is being called by Dean, and Ellen is shocked that Gordon was hunting Sam, but Dean is like, yeah, because you told him that, like, Sam, blah, blah, blah. And, like, Ellen is shocked that Dean would think it was her or, like, Ash or Joe. And then she says that we won't do that. And also, like, the roadhouse is big and everyone is connected to everyone. And these people actually do know what the fuck they're doing, unlike you two fuckers. So they can probably figure this out, like, pretty much as fast as anyone else can. Yeah. She says, I can't control these people, I can't control what they believe.
Yeah.
Which I think is an interesting line, but I think I don't want to get into it.
Oh.
I feel like yeah. What can you say about that line?
Huh. I mean, I do think that as the owner of the bar, she can choose to kick the shitty guys out of the bar.
Yeah, like, I mean,
Like, she doesn't have to be Switzerland about this. The only thing I picked up from this scene was that Dean's, like, shouting down the phone at Ellen, and then he, like, turns around to look at Sam, like, sympathetically.
and Sam is like literally like a little.
He looks
boy
like
in
the
front,
littlest
the
guy
passenger
ever.
seat.
He's
He's
on his
just a
phone,
little
like,
guy.
playing Candy Crush.
Yeah. He's literally, you know that scene where, like, Dean is in the boys' home and then he looks at the car after, like, John picks him up, and then, like, he's, like, looking out the window to the car, and Sam is, like, the smallest 12-year-old you've ever seen in your fucking life, and he's playing with his, like toy car or something, toy airplane. That's literally what Sam looks like right now. Like, he looks like like, you give him a toy airplane, he looks exactly like that.
Yeah. Oh, I love him. Except he just called the cops on Gordon, so actually, shut up, Sam. No Candy Crush for you. Yeah, so we get driving again, and Sam's calling Ava, and this is, like, his, like, second call at least, trying to check if she's okay. And then Dean says a line.
Which we have discussed earlier.
Yeah, like, vaguely. But yeah, basically he's just making a rape joke about Gordon in jail, and it's, like, really, really bad. Yeah. And then Sam says, like, yeah, he'll be in jail for a while, like, if they manage to convict him of Scott Carey's murder, and if he doesn't break out. Dean says, if you ever take off like that again. And Sam goes, what? You'll kill me? He's so funny. He's so funny. I love him. And Dean goes, that is not funny. And then, like, Sam laughs. And he asks where they're going next. And Dean's like, let's go to Amsterdam, baby. Which, Amsterdam's known for, like, sex clubs? Is that what it's known for?
It's not for like drugs, right?
Oh, that too. Probably.
I mean, like, I've always made a joke that, like, I'll just move to Amsterdam, like, for the weed, for the, like, drugs part, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
I think there's also, like, a red light district in that area.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. And Sam goes, I'm not just gonna ditch the job. Can season 1 Sam come back briefly and give this guy a talking to?
I don't know. Do you like Sam this season?
I don't think they give him very much to work with.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I don't like him this season.
I mean, I'm
he's annoying.
fond of him. Like, I've already decided that I like him. So, like, I do like him this season because I've decided that I like Sam. But I guess, like, if you, like, sat me down to watch an episode and was like, how do you feel about this guy isolated in this episode? I'd be like, eh.
The thing is, I also don't like Dean this season. And I feel like it's a matter of the weakness of the season. Not, like, the characters, you know? Like, because the way they have focused on things is very Dean-centric. So it's like, I hate him because, like, they focus on him, they do this Dean-centrism, but it's, like, bad Dean-centrism, you know? Like, it's like, he's being awful. Like, that's what they're focusing on. So, of course, I'm like, God, he's fucking annoying. Unclench. But, like, you know, and Sam is, like, the guy saying unclench to Dean, and it's like, shut the fuck up, Sam, you know? So it's like, I'm just annoyed at everyone, I feel like. Maybe I just don't like Supernatural.
Well, don't worry, we only have 13 more seasons.
I know. I want everyone to know that today I had to take a photo shoot for something, and I didn't know what to dress up as, so I dressed up as Dean Winchester. So, like, obviously I do still like Supernatural. I'm just lying for entertainment purposes.
Yeah. I mean, okay, I say there's only 13 more seasons, but, like, really, there's only 2 more seasons of, ew, Supernatural. And then the rest will be like, yay, cast show. So it'll be fine.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so Dean says, like, screw the job. I'm sick of it. We don't get paid. We don't get thanked. We only get bad luck. And Sam says, come on, dude. You're a hunter. It's what you were meant to do. This is not Sam talking.
This is such a wild thing to say.
This is literally not my guy.
This is just Rail Tucker feeding, like, literally spoon-feeding words into, like, an infant's mouth.
Yeah.
And the infant is Sam Winchester. And he has grown to look like he is 24 years old.
Yeah. He's got that Benjamin Button disease.
Yeah. He's literally 1-year-old. Does that mean he just lives for 24 years? That's so sad. He literally does, though. He literally
he's dying very soon.
Literally.
Yeah. Man, whatever. I'm not even gonna acknowledge that line. Like, that's not my guy.
Yeah.
And Dean says, like, I wasn't meant to do anything. I don't believe in that destiny crap. Alright, Rael. And Sam's like, you don't believe in my destiny? And Dean says, yeah. And Sam says that he's tried running before to California and that didn't work out. he says that he can't run from this and Dean can't protect him. And Dean says, I can try. And Sam says,
Oh my god.
thanks for that.
Sorry.
Huh?
No, I'm reading the transcript and I realized that they say bitch jerk in this episode, and I did not notice it all.
Oh, I did. It felt quite tonally jarring. Yeah, Sam says that he's gonna keep hunting because whatever's coming, he wants to take it head on. And he says, like, hey, if you want to watch my back, then you're gonna have to stick around. Boo. Boo.
Boo.
And they do the bitch jerk
This
thing.
literally, Sam is saying that straight to the audience.
Yeah.
He's like, if you want to know what's gonna happen, stick around, baby girl. He says baby girl. He literally says baby girl.
He does.
Anyway, they say bitch jerk. I actually hate that. Like, out of the things that like are iconic of Supernatural, like the bitch jerk is actually like something I don't like.
It's annoying.
I just think like a lot of times that they use it, it feels out of place. You
Right.
know?
Like they're just saying it to say it.
Yeah, they're just saying it to say it. And also, like, I saw this nail art once of Supernatural, and there was literally a nail that literally just said bitch. And I love that. Actually, I take this back. I love the bitch jerk line, specifically because of that nail art.
Yeah.
Anyway, Sam, like, picks up his phone and he starts calling Ava, and it's revealed that like he has been doing this for a while, like calling Ava. And Sam starts to get worried and he says like, oh, how far is it from where Ava is from? And so they go there and they do, so like they go into the house, and as they flashlight their way around the house, they end up in the master's bedroom, and it's a bloody sight. Ava's fiance is on the bed and he is dead and everything is bloody, and Sam goes to the window and he sees sulfur.
Well, specifically,
And he
Dean
picks up-
sees powder and he runs his fucking finger along the windowsill like the usual suspects didn't just happen.
It's sulfur. And then Sam picks up a ring from the floor. It's Ava's ring. And then he goes, Ava. And then the episode ends.
Wait, sorry, are you reading this deleted scene at the end of the transcript? Because
No, absolutely not. What does it say?
It's so funny. Okay, it's a scene in the roadhouse, and Ash is trying to pick up a girl, and he says, "Girl, I'm gonna take you to Waffle House." And then he says, "Can you drive? Though I don't have a license." And she says, "I think I just decided I'm gay."
I am every single person in this, like, in this conversation.
Yeah, sadly, but then Ash says, "Hey, that's even better." So, ew.
Well, Ash is gender fluid. So.
No, you're right. You got it.
What comes after this? I think I asked you how you found the episode.
How is that?
No. Yeah.
I think I had issues with it, but I liked that it was Sam-centric. I liked Ava a lot, and there were times when I had fun watching it. But yeah, overall, Rael Tucker did not do her homework.
Yeah. For me, this episode, I think I will go to sleep. Currently, it's 2:39 a.m. for me. I think we will end this recording, and then I will go to sleep, and I will wake up at exactly 8 a.m. tomorrow, and I will have absolutely no recollection of this episode or this recording. It's what I think. Like, I think, I think I will edit this a podcast episode a week from now, and I'll be like, wow, truly fascinating things happen in this one. Wish I remembered it. But yeah, I think like, do you think it's a forgettable episode? Like, cause
I don't-
the bulk of like the good things happen at the beginning, and then also Ava.
Yeah.
I think those are the two things that are like I like. So like I do remember those, but I only remember them because of previous watches of Supernatural,
Right.
not because I watched this episode and I will remember because I watched it today.
Yeah,
I think there's a good reason why I
Yeah.
forgot like everything else about the episode, I guess.
I think the issue is that there's no case, right? Like, that's why. Like, nothing
Yeah,
happens because there's no
probably
case.
why.
Like, they just have some plot reveals and then, like, they just punch Gordon.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah.
Okay. Best line, worst line.
Oh, God.
I actually have a best line.
Okay, yeah.
And the worst line prepared. See?
Nice.
I am ready for this podcast. My best line is take some responsibility for yourself, Dean. I really like that one.
Yeah.
I think it's very telling of what Sam is angry about specifically, etc., etc. My worst line is the line that you said was not Sam. The one where he says,
You're a hunter, Dean.
you're a hunter. It's what you're meant to do. Which I just think it's so stupid. And like, it's one of those things that like, especially when someone is telling you that like, I don't like what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I don't like who I'm becoming. I think telling them that, but this is what you're meant to be, is like the stupidest fucking thing you can
Yeah,
say.
especially because we have Sam earlier going off on Dean being like, you scare me all the time, except for when you're on hunts when you're downright terrifying. Like, he knows that this job is
Yeah.
making Dean worse, so like it makes no sense for him to be saying this here.
Yeah, it's wild that like the conversation goes basically, I'm sick of the job, and Sam being like,
It's
but it's your job.
destiny.
It's like, man, it's your destiny to do this job. So yeah, I don't like those.
Yeah. I guess my best line is when Sam tells Ellen, I'm trying to find answers about who I am, and my brother means well, but he can't protect me from that. Because, I mean, we really get no insight into what Sam's thinking for a lot of season 2. So it's nice to have something that I can decide to interpret his future actions through the lens of. And then,
Yeah, I guess so. What's your worst line?
I mean, I guess Dean rape joke, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
IMDb rating. Can I just go first?
Yeah.
8.5. I feel like people would remember the things that I remember from this
Yeah.
episode, which is, like I said earlier, Ava and the beginning Sam and Dean conversation. So, like, people would remember that as good, but they would watch the episode and be like, actually, it's not as good as I remember. So they would rank it like 8 or 9 only. I don't think anyone can look at this and be like, this is a 10. You know.
Yeah, that makes
So
sense.
I think it will go like by like 8.5. Yeah.
I was also going to say 8.5, but I guess I don't know what direction to go into. I'll go up. I'll go to 8.6 because in the past, every time we lowballed it, we were wrong.
Damn. Okay. I'll look it up. It's 8.4. So I
Oh,
was
damn.
closer.
Okay, I could have gotten it if I wasn't a silly goose.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's look up.
Okay, the actors for the guys you said looked like guys aren't the guys you said they looked like.
Bill Mondi. Where else are you from?
Like nothing. I already looked.
He has never
at
been
him.
in a good out. He's never been in anything good. Sorry, dude.
He was in My Little Pony.
I know he has been in My Little Pony, so that was good. Barbie in the Pink Shoes.
I don't think I watched that one.
Oh my god, he was in Smallville. No idea what the fuck that is, by the way.
Yeah, I've heard.
I
the word.
think Jensen Ackles was in Smallville. Is that true?
I have no clue. Maybe.
And of course, he was in Supernatural, which is the worst of all this. Oh my god, he was in DS9. Okay, whatever. Don't care. Why am I so mean? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Graham Coxon. User reviews.
I scrolled right down to 5 out of 10, aged badly, poorly developed themes, and terrible ending. So true.
Aged badly.
Yeah.
Poorly developed themes and terrible ending.
Yeah, and it actually ends with saying, like it's fucked up that these two white men brought the power of the state down upon a black man. Like, so true.
After seeing this episode again, it's been years. All I do is scream at the TV and tell Randall Pearson to stop crying. Then I started crying. How characters ruin actors for life.
Who the
hell is Randall
Pearson?
Who the hell? Let's go back to the stars, baby girl. I'm sorry for calling you baby girl. Who is Randy?
Who
is Randall?
That is not an actor in this episode.
Nay a Randall inside. I think this user is just having a moment, and I respect that. Nothing here is funny or interesting.
Yeah. This person just said, I liked Ava, she was innocent and cute. No, she wasn't.
Well, that's a very weird way to put Ava.
Yeah.
Innocent? She's literally like Sam's age, right?
Yeah.
Like she's a grown woman.
Yeah, she's a
We did
secretary.
just call Sam like an
engaged.
infant at some point, and also like a 12-year-old playing Candy Crush, and also a plastic
okay,
airplane.
but Ava wore a
in the passenger
blazer
seat.
in this episode, and that makes her a grown-up.
Yeah, like maybe if Sam wore a blazer,
Yeah, we wouldn't be calling him an infant.
we would be calling him a 12-year-old in the passenger seat playing with an airplane. Man, I think that's it, bro. We cannot milk this any longer.
Yeah, sorry.
Should I apologize for like my behavior this episode?
You've
Do you
already
think that's
explained.
how we should end it. Yeah. Okay. I'm not gonna apologize because Crystal said I shouldn't, and that all my action is acceptable.
Yeah, I
Crystal
said all
said
of
that,
that,
not
and
me.
Gray just cut it out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anyway, this is Bus Asian Beauties. Next time we'll be talking about season 2, episode 11, Playthings. Leave us a rating or a review wherever you get your podcast.
Maybe don't leave us a rating after listening to this one.
Oh yeah, if you listen to this one and then you think, wow, this episode is so bad, just keep that to yourself. You know, the world doesn't need to know.
Follow us on social media. We are on Twitter at twitter.com/beautiespodcast and on Tumblr at bestasianbeautiespod.tumblr.com. Our official tag is babpod, BABpod, and thank you so much to everyone who's donated to our Ko-fi at ko-fi.com/bestasianbeautiespod.
Yeah, we actually talked about the Winchesters trailer like a couple weeks back on that and on Ko-fi, and like a lot of people actually joined in to listen to that one, so we're really, that was really fun. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You can email us any feedback, comments, or inquiries at busasianbeautiespod@gmail.com. See you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.